in 5 seconds. Please enable your sound. You'll want to hear this. Is regular drinking getting you down? Are you worried about how much you drink? Maybe you don't drink every day, but when you do, the memory loss, the guilt and the shame is really starting to affect the quality of your life. Does it seem those promises you make to yourself the morning after the night before to drink less just don't quite happen? And this makes you feel really bad about yourself. And maybe there is even a deeper fear that maybe you have to quit altogether, and that scares you. And the actual thought of having to say goodbye forever to your delicious wine or ice-cold beers is a place you really don't want to go to. I guess when you were younger, drinking a lot was cool, but maybe not so cool now that you're older. Maybe deep down you know that drinking too much is damaging your health, but what do you do? Where do you go if you know you don't belong in those, weekly meetings, and you don't want to go into long-term therapy? And ultimately, I'm assuming that you don't want to quit alcohol altogether. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this presentation right now. What if you could conquer the binge drinking and become an awe-inspiring healthy drinker and still sip your delicious beer, wine, or whatever you like to drink without the guilt, the shame, and the hangovers? Did you know drinking too much has absolutely nothing to do with alcohol? It may seem a weird thing to say, but it is the truth. And I will show you why when you watch this entire presentation. You see, I get it. I used to be the big Aussie boozer who partied hard and thought when I was older, and apparently wiser, that I would just drink less. But sadly, my heavy drinking just got worse, and I mean really worse. Without going into too much detail, I've been in hospital with broken ribs from falling downstairs drunk. I've ended up asleep at the end of a railway line, being woken up by the station master yelling at me that I was a stupid, irresponsible girl and that I should go home. And that was at 1:30 a.m. I spent some crazy amounts of money on alcohol I just didn't really enjoy, but I still drank it. Why? Because I was socially shy and I wanted to be liked. Drinking calmed my nerves, and it made me feel more confident too. Okay, I was known as the party girl, but deep down I knew I was drinking too much. And deep down I knew it was a problem. But I just couldn't stop the vicious cycle of drinking too much and too often. I just couldn't imagine my life without alcohol, because I did enjoy drinking, but I knew it wasn't in healthy quantities. All I remember thinking back then was, if I get out of this hole of crazy binge drinking, if I could find a way to control my drinking rather than having to quit, then I could help those like me who are worried about their drinking but just don't want to stop altogether. My question was to myself, how can I do this? Where do I start? Is this honestly possible? You know what I mean? To truly discover a way to drink less alcohol without being a party pooper and enjoying some lovely wine at home without the guilt and the angst and the hangover. As you can see from one of my many drinking too much stories, I wasn't always the leading expert in alcohol reduction. Hi, my name is Georgia Foster. I am known internationally as the alcohol reduction expert. I have written many books and been on TV regularly for years telling the world the real reason why people drink too much. I qualified with the best Jungian psychologists in the US and spent many years lecturing on the UK university circuit. I've spent the last 22 years developing my private practice in London and Australia, helping people who want to drink less but just don't know how. Listen, over the years I've interviewed top neuroscientists from around the world. I've been in deep conversations with addiction experts. I've met with government bodies. I've done a huge amount of research and left no stone unturned to understand how to help people drink less alcohol. I've taken all the hard work out for you, so you don't have to do the hours upon hours of research on the internet. Honestly, I've taken the pain away of wondering what to do. Today is your day to stop worrying about your drinking. Now, I'm here to help you. My tried and tested drink less method is taking the US by storm and is being hailed as the first of its kind with a unique approach to alcohol reduction with a 97% success rate. And the good news is, without having to quit completely. Some medical experts are calling my approach the middle ground of drinking, and the message is starting to spread that many Americans secretly do want to drink less, but don't want to abstain. They're tired of being told by the media and society that quitting is the only option. Unfolding before your eyes, you are about to experience a new, refreshing, and liberating home program that gets fast results without old-fashioned willpower. Look, you may think this is a big promise, or maybe even a little bit suspicious, because let's face it, you've been told the same old story over and over again that quitting is the only way forward. Until now. I'm going to share with you my 22 years of experience of being in the forefront of how to drink less that has the support of many well-known scientists, doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists around the world. In fact, many of them have secretly used my own methods to drink less because they too have been worried about their own drinking. Because my approach is different. And because my approach stops you feeling bad about your drinking straight away. I can assure you that you don't need to go into long-term therapy or group meetings. In fact, the opposite is true. And even better, you don't have to tell anyone that you're worried about your drinking, because they don't need to know. Only you and I need to know, and this is what is important. Because those in your life who may judge you about your drinking will only see one thing after completing this program, that you are naturally and happily drinking less and enjoying it. You see, I've heard it all before, and I get it. If you're tired of listening to people who tell you that you drink too much, which actually makes you ironically often drink more, or if you're a sneaky drinker because family and friends are critical of your drinking, so you hide and tell those little white lies about how much you drink, stop the shame and the guilt right now. I don't know how many times men and women have said to me, Georgia, when the doctors say to me, just cut back a little. I nod and agree, but I leave feeling awful because I just can't seem to cut back. And I worry about this too much, and bizarrely, it seems to make me drink more. What is my problem? I can assure you there is nothing wrong with you. Let me repeat this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you, and it's not your fault. We all start drinking socially and then drinking on the weekends, which leads to drinking a few days a week, which leads to drinking every day. Drinking a lot every day. I get it. I've been exactly where you are, and I can help you. Let me tell you a little secret why I know this to be 100% true. First, I'm going to tell you a close-to-the-bone drinking story from Kylie, who is a very typical worried drinker that came to me for help. And what she has to say is what I hear weekly in my professional life. Kylie kindly agreed I could tell you because she was in a pretty bad way before, and the good news, she is not now, so she's happy to share. I will also share other testimonials from men and women who have been brave enough to put their name and photo on this video to show you how powerful and fast the results of this program are. I'll show you their photos to prove they're normal, just like you, in a few moments. But first, this is Kylie's story.
I shudder when I think of this drinking story. In 2012, my husband and I went to a colleague's wedding in the country. As it was a long way from home, we checked into the local hotel for the night with other people from work. I was dreading it because I'm actually very shy and I know my social anxiety can be pretty bad. But I also know I can drink too much sometimes, especially in unfamiliar social situations, so I was already really anxious. The car ride seemed to go forever, and all I kept saying to myself was, Kylie, just don't drink too much. Don't make a fool of yourself. On one hand, I promised myself I'd pace my drinking, but another part of me was dying for a drink to calm myself down. By the time we arrived, people were already at the bar offering drinks. My husband went upstairs with our luggage, and I got that look from him that says, "Don't drink too much." And that really ticked me off. My husband can be the wine police sometimes, and it really irritates me. He can sit on a glass of wine all night. I so wish I could do that, but I just can't. And I thought, screw it, why not? Everybody else is drinking, so I had a glass of champagne. By the time my husband came down, I was on my second glass of champagne and having a great time. After a few hours, we sat down to eat with some colleagues, and my husband asked me to slow down my drinking. We had a massive argument at the table, and he stormed off and said he would get room service. And I don't remember much of after that, but I woke up at 4 a.m. to find myself lying next to my boss in his room.